All right, today is kind of a hat day, and if you look closely, you can kind of see right there, it's a duck with a chain. Pretty cool hat. So a few months ago, I made a short form video about my iPad setup, and I got a couple comments asking me to make a longer video about that. So this is kind of in response to you guys. Now, despite the new M4 iPad being out, I'm sticking with my iPad Air 5, at least for the time being. If you want to know a little bit more about, my situation with the iPad, you can check out my last video. Let's start off with the exterior of the iPad. So I use my iPad with a glass screen protector now. I used to use Paperlike, as you probably saw on my channel before, but now that I don't do as much writing on the iPad and I edit more photos than anything else, I decided to go back to a glass screen protector. On the back, I have this dbrand skin, although I did buy this before dbrand decided to go a little AWOL on Twitter. If you know, you know. For my case, I either use a keyboard case or a more protective style case when I'm using the iPad. The keyboard case that I choose to use is the Apple Smart Folio keyboard case, and it's because of how slim it is, how light it is, and because of being able to flip that keyboard over on the back and still use the iPad in that kind of tablet mode. I found it to be a lot nicer than using the Magic Keyboard. Now, despite the drawbacks of this when you compare it to some other keyboard cases, the best part about it for me is just how light it can still be. And that really helps me reduce, or at least minimize, the amount of weight I'm adding to my camera bag when I'm out on the go. Now, the next case I use is this ESR case that I reviewed on my channel. So when I'm not using it in the keyboard case, I'm pretty much using it in this case. And it's because it gives it a little bit more of a protective feel. So if I'm going out somewhere and I just want that extra protection, this case is kind of perfect for that, especially if I just do not want to use a keyboard. And my favorite thing is just detaching that folio section and just using it just as a standalone case on the back of my iPad. Now, the last thing to kind of wrap up the exterior of the iPad, I guess, is the Apple Pencil. It still gets used, although it just doesn't get used in the same way. When I was making a lot more videos on this channel in the past, it was basically while I was a student, I was using the Apple Pencil pretty much for, probably 12 hours a day. Now that I'm working as an engineer, I don't use my iPad in the same way, and the iPad is just more turned into me editing photos on it on the go, or just kind of using it for entertainment. But when I do my photo editing, I use the Apple Pencil a lot to adjust the sliders, or if I'm doing masks and I'm kind of brushing out things manually with those masks, then it works perfectly fine for me. I will admit there are a few times that I do take notes, or I do want to jot down something or kind of work something out, and I still use the Apple Pencil obviously for that as well. Since we're on the topic of talking about my iPad setup, I can't gloss over the fact that I sit down at my desk a lot to get work done. And as part of that setup on my desk, I basically have this standing desk that I got from Costco, and it served me well. I've had it for a couple of years now, and I think they have some new variations of it. But it's a nice standing desk and allows me to kind of stretch out my legs or just not sit down all day if I'm either working from home or if I'm working at the computer or on the iPad over the weekend. And despite me having a custom built PC, I do sometimes just sit down and work just on my iPad without turning on my computer and without even connecting it to my monitor. Since we're talking about my monitor, I do have a 32-inch 4K monitor that I use. I believe it's from Scepter, and I got it for a Black Friday deal last year, and it served me really well, and I like the colors of it. So when I'm at my desk and I'm working, I'm typically transferring some photos off of my iPad, and I usually do that by connecting the camera either directly to the iPad or by using a USB dongle and plugging in the SD card to that. When I'm working on my desk, I do sometimes have the iPad off to the side, and I'm either watching YouTube videos on it or checking my emails or marking off my to-do list. And it's just nice to kind of have that as a companion while I'm working on the computer on something else, especially if I'm doing like video editing or photo editing on there and I just need something kind of off on the side. Now, transitioning into headphones, since we brought up the AirPods, I typically either use my AirPod 3 or my Bose noise canceling headphones, and I use those depending on what I really want out of my audio experience. If I'm watching like a brand new trailer, I'm gonna pop on my Bose headphones because the sound quality is just a bit better on that. And then also when it comes to focusing, I like the noise canceling headphones because it kind of just helps isolate me and it makes me feel like I'm in my own little space. And then also if I just want something more convenient or just connected to my iPhone or just my iPad, and not to my computer, then I use my AirPods. I actually got this really cool dongle recently, and it just basically gives you a headphone jack by connecting into the USB slot. And I like that when I'm sometimes editing videos in DaVinci Resolve on the iPad, or if I just want to not waste any battery life on the headphones and just have that wired connection. So finally we come down to the last part of my setup, and this is the type of bag that I use when I'm on the go, because sometimes I'm not doing my work at home or on the couch. I'm outside or at a cafe and doing work there. The most common backpack or bag that I use is my camera bag. That basically is the thing that I take out with me the most, and it has a nice little laptop sleeve that I can just plop the iPad in. And when I was out on vacation, that's basically what I had in my bag throughout my whole trip, and it just makes it really nice and convenient. Now the second backpack or bag that I use is this backpack from Ghost Tech. They had sent it out to me a couple years ago now, and I never got a chance to show it off or review it on the channel, but I've been using it and I love the backpack. I just think it looks super cool with that kind of matte black look, and it's super sleek. And the best part is it's super comfortable, and I basically use this when I'm just going out to just get work done. I'm not bringing my camera with me. I'm not trying to do any extra content related stuff or take any photos. I'm just strictly going to a cafe and just sitting down and getting work done. Now the last thing you'll find my iPad being thrown into is this tote bag from a pizza shop out in Japan. When I visited Osaka, we stopped by, and I really liked the owner. And just really like the kind of story behind how he moved countries and moved into Japan and started his pizza shop, which was his dream. So I bought a tote bag from his shop and been using it ever since. It's super high quality and it's super nice, and I highly recommend their pizza. It was fantastic. So if you're ever in Osaka, then make sure you check out these guys over at Hughes Pizza. But I love using this tote bag when I'm kind of in a rush or going in a more casual situation, and I'm just kind of throwing in a few things in a bag and just heading out the door. That wraps up my iPad setup. If there's any suggestions or any cool things that you want to recommend that I try for my iPad setup, let me know down in the comments below. And also, if there's anything that you liked in the setup or that you found really cool, let me know down in the comments as well. Hopefully I will see you guys as a subscriber in a future video, and until next time, have a great day.